Jake, Jake asked, did Abu al-Hasan al-Ashari affirm the yad of Allah as a distinct sifa that cannot be reduced to the other seven sifat?
Okay. Now, did he say that there's a صفة ذاتية تسمى اليد as in صفة معنوية? Yes, Abu al-Hasan did say that, and many of the Ash'ari did. You're asking me if I agree that there's a صفة معنوية, صفة ذاتية معنوية called اليد. In some of the verses, yes, it's definitely indication of that, while others are just simply an idafa. Not every single time yad is mentioned does it mean that, but there are some that there could be, yes, definitely an understanding of sifa dhatiyya, ma'nawiyya. And this is different than the position of tafweed al-ma'na. No, it's not different. It's actually very, very similar. Because when I say sifa dhatiyya, I'm still saying I don't know what that means. It all goes back to the siyaq in Arabic. Okay, what does the siyaq entail? Now, what happens is that in some of the verses, there's a term in the place of where a sifa would be if I was talking to someone. Okay, now that sifa is sometimes used completely as an idafa, yani you're just adding something in. And sometimes there's actually really referring to a sifa behind the context that you cannot see. It will depend on the siyaq and how Arabs speak. So it just depends on which verse you're referring to, what can be understood from it, and so on. You cannot put a one stop on all of the nusus. Every nus is going to be different.
Yeah, can I
Abu
clarify
Yahya,
my
is
question?
that that is our limit on this matter. Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, my question is tafweed al-ma'na. When the Sheikh Muhammad Akram was speaking in the room, I don't know which room it was, but he mentioned the distinction is that Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari, what he is affirming, and Imam al-Tabari, is that the yad is a distinct sifa that can, when I say cannot be reduced, meaning it's not one of the other sifat, okay? And yes, not affirming the meaning is one thing, but the position that he said of tafweed al-ma'na is that they are not affirming, they're saying that they don't know the meaning of the word, but they are not affirming it as a distinct sifa. So those are two different positions. Am I understanding that incorrectly?
Not knowing the meaning, you can still say it is a distinct sifa. And that's what Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari leaned to. And Tabari, in several different occasions, he agrees to that. He does the same thing. Okay? As I said, you can say it's a sifa and it has a distinct meaning, okay, or it's a distinct sifa, okay, and still do tafweed al-ma'na because it
Yeah,
goes
I agree with that.
itself, huh?
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm saying you could also say that you don't know the meaning and not affirm that it's a distinct sifa. And those
Yes,
are two different positions,
that
correct?
if you say it's an idafa, na'am.
Yes, and
You
I'm,
say it's not,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
and that's why I said it's going to depend on what nas you are referring to.
Yeah,
Yadullah fawqa aydihim. That's a complete idafa. That's not a sifa there. Saying that that's a sifa is ridiculous. That's idafa.
yeah, that's fine. But what I'm saying to you is the general position of the Ash'aris that affirm tafweed al-ma'na, they are not affirming a sifa. They're not, you could at the very least say that they're not saying one way or another. They're saying they don't know the meaning of the word, but they're not doing what Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari did of affirming it very clearly as a distinct sifa. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's what I'm trying to tell you, that there's a difference amongst the Asha'ira. Some say it's an idafa and some say it's sifa.
Right, but that's why I'm saying of just leaving it as explaining it as tafweed al-ma'na and saying that we don't know the meaning. There is a further distinction within that position.
Yep.
One who says he does not know the meaning of the word but affirms it as a distinct sifa, and one who says he doesn't know the meaning of the word but does not affirm that it is a distinct attribute. That's
That's
all I'm saying.
right. That's exactly what I mean when I say there's some that say it's صفة معنى, and some say it's إضافة. نعم.
Yeah,
We're
so
saying the same
which
thing.
one, yeah, so which position do you hold to?
Again, I don't like the blanket statements. It'll go back to which nas you're referring to.
Yeah, but is there any text where you affirm a distinct sifa? And I think you said yes, correct?
Yes, لما خلقت بيدي. Personally, I lean towards more this is صفة ذاتية. نعم. صفة معنى.
Okay, and what would you say is the position of Ash'aris in general? What is the majority position?
There's a 50-50 line in the sand on that one. خلقت بيدي on that one.
Okay, but is there a distinction between the earlier school and the later school?
There's no such thing as earlier and later, because the khilaf that you see مثلا with Abu al-Hasan during his, during the time of his students, there was a khilaf. I think it was al-Qalanisi actually said no, it's not a sifa, it's idafa. So that's from the mutaqaddimin. So this idea that it's earlier versus later is not a correct approach, because the
Mhm.
khilaf always existed.
Yeah, but is that was that them disagreeing over the interpretation of their sheikh, or them agreeing what the interpretation is, but they just disagree with him on his opinion? I,
As
I don't know
some
if
of
you
them didn't
understood
even
what I
mention.
meant. I don't know if my question was clear, but
No, no, I
let
understand
me.
what you're saying.
Okay.
Is it based upon what Abu Hassan said and then they expanded on it? No, some of them didn't even mention what Abu Hassan said. Their opinion is different than Abu Hassan's. Some said it was sifan, some said it was idafa.
Okay. Great.
If you go back to Sharh al-Irshad by Abu al-Qasim al-Ansari, he actually quotes the majority of what they were saying, and he has it there. And a lot of them they claim that al-Juwayni started a change within the school. No, al-Juwayni was simply picking from what was already there. So this difference, is it considered a sifa or an idafa? It's an old khilaf and it's always existed within the school. Yes, the majority of the Asha'ira, when they are speaking to laymen and educating laymen, will shut things down, and that's normally their approach in order to protect people from getting into details that they shouldn't be getting involved in the first place, especially if they are not educated in Islamic sciences. They might make a mistake, so it's better off that they just stay out of it and away from it.
hmm But I'm saying, as far as the school goes today, the way that I see that it's typically explained, you either have the two positions of either ta'wil or tafwid al-ma'na, and which in that case, they're not affirming it as a distinct sifa. I rarely see Ash'aris today take the position of Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. I rarely see it ever explained that way.
I understand what you're saying. I think you're probably saying similar to what like Imam al-Nawawi said in his Sharh of Sahih Muslim al-Majmu' when he said that they have two opinions, and he just broke it down to ta'wil and tafwid, and he left it at that. Again, that's um, the simple approach, if you may, of the matter, to keep matters simple for people that do not need to be digging in such topics. Because remember, at the end of the day, the laymen were not asked to delve into such topics by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So them getting into it, right, and making mistakes could lead to them departing from Islam altogether. So why would we invite them to this? But now, if you actually study and go into depth into the text, like the positions that I'm sharing with you are the positions that I heard from my teachers who are Ash'ari. So it is known, but يعني, you would have to go through the ranks and the levels and the books and study with the mashayikh to get to that.
When you guys are giving lectures on here, the clarification that I'm making now to the other brothers on stage or people in the audience, I think that is a proper setting to make that clear of what we were just discussing in those distinct positions. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I think there's a problem with that, and I'll tell you why, is that none of these brothers have actually studied anything, يعني, if their life counted on it. Many of them I've, not necessarily these brothers, but many brothers on this app I've spoken to, and guess what, Jake? They have not studied wudu, they have not studied salah, they have not studied siyam, they have not studied zakah. And these are obligations upon them. On Judgment Day, if they say, oh Allah, I was busy when seeking the matter of sifat, they are sinful. Please go and
I
study.
have a.
And FYI,
Hmm.
I
صفة
think it's Muslim to
ذاتية
us.
لله تعالى صفة معنى اسمها اليد. FYI. So
Yeah.
you got that wrong from the beginning.
Yeah, Minhaji, can I ask you a question about that based on what we talked about earlier?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so you do affirm the Sifa of the Ed, which is an attribute which subsists with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's essence.
صفة معنوية نعم.
Now, yeah, yes. Now, based on the ayat that speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam with his hand, right?
تمام.
Now, I'm asking,
Translate that
in
into
this
English.
case,
I wouldn't translate that
yes.
into English though.
Okay, so fine, translate to English. But you are saying you are comfortable with someone having the position that yad is a sifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by which he creates Adam alayhi salam, as the ayah says, correct?
Jake, even Sheikh Saeed spoke on this. Yes, this is the position of many of the
Yeah,
Ash'ari. Yes.
yeah, this is correct.
And this is the position of al-Hasan al-Ashari, correct?
Uh, to say yes, there's a khilaf on whether it was his 100% or not. Yes, in al-Ibana it does seem that way. In other places, some argued other than that, but I would say comfortably that overall, that was probably his opinion that it was sifa ma'nawiyya.
Hello,
Naam.
hello. I have a
Okay,
quick
yeah,
question
yeah,
for
just,
Muslim.
just,
Wait,
yeah. Yeah, so just to be clear, someone that affirms that Yadullah is a sifat, which is established with his essence, subsists with his essence, and is that by which he creates Adam alayhi salam, there is no problem with someone having such a position.
There's no problem as long as they're clear that sifa ma'nawiyya, not ayniyya.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to make clear. Thank you.
Yeah, there,
No,
there we can keep things simple, very basic and clear. What, Jake? Can you please repeat what you understood from what I said? And Ibrahim, if you have a follow up, feel free to ask. Please do not shout over one another. We're
Yeah,
grown
keep
men, right?
it's
respectful,
Yeah.
please.
it's very clear. Yes, you said Yadullah is a sifa, right? Which subsists with his essence. And we affirm this by the text of the Qur'an that mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam with that, with this particular sifa. This is what you said. I said to you, and this is my position. I have no problem with this position very clearly. I didn't mention anything about the attributes that are meanings and this and that. I didn't say anything like that. I said it subsists with his essence.
Jake.